Welcome to Know Your Body. I'm Dr. Andrew Wong at Capital Integrative Health, along with our Director of Functional Nutrition, Araceli Benavides. At our practice, CIH, or Capital Integrative Health, we take a deep dive into understanding your body and giving you actionable steps to organically give you the healthy life you deserve. So today we're going to discuss one of the most important lifestyle topics, and I think something that kind of gets shoved under the rug sometimes, because we're all, very active during the day and we're all doing things and we're all busy, but there's actually something that's really, really important, and that's sleep, that's rest, and the lack thereof as well in terms of why we just can't get a good night's rest. So let's talk about today, Araceli, why people can't sleep, how that's affecting their health, and what we can do about that.
Yes, this is very important because if we want our body to really function optimally throughout the day, we need to give it enough rest and good quality sleep for it to recover, because there's a lot of things happening while we sleep. It's not like just turning off the switch and be off. There's actually a lot of things that our body needs to do while we sleep so that we can be like really functioning optimally during the day.
So this is a public service announcement. We're talking about public health here. We talked about, a lot of the health issues like obesity is a public health epidemic, and again, chronic stress is also a public health epidemic. We're talking about loneliness, social isolation. There's also sleep deprivation. That is also a public health epidemic. In 2014, the CDC showed that 35% of adults in America sleep less than 7 hours per night, which is sort of a suboptimal level. That does vary from state to state, but this was before COVID. And I imagine after COVID that the sleep deprivation and insomnia or lack of sleep is going to be even higher now.
I think so too.
We also know that sleep deprivation impacts not just personal health, but collectively our society in terms of ability to show up at work, ability for not being absentee and things like that. It's going to affect our economy, but it's also going to affect our healthcare system, whether in terms of cost, because chronic sleep deprivation is associated with many, many chronic health conditions, including heart disease and stroke and dementia, and even chronic pain and things like that. So even diabetes and blood sugar dysregulation, which we talked about in our previous episode, as well as we know that if someone has sleep issues, that can be a root cause for mental health issues like anxiety and depression and even bipolar disorder. So I'm not saying that sleep causes everything, but it contributes to every health issue if sleep is not regulated.
Yes, so maybe we can start by discussing how sleep deprivation can affect brain health and like mood and memory, because really when we are sleeping, we're consolidating a lot of the memories and things that happen throughout the day. So, and we see that patients that have sleep deprivation have an increased risk to develop dementia. So if you're really trying to protect your brain and stay like having good cognition and staying like sharp and preventing brain fog, really focusing on sleep would be a good place to start.
I wish in movies, how when you watch movies, Araceli, and there's movies where people are like running, 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 and then all of a sudden, they might show a shot of someone sleeping, right? So it would be great if they actually showed their brain working over time and their immune system working over time, their detox system working over time, because that's what's really happening. Sleep is one of the most active times in someone's life. Whereas we kind of think in sort of popular culture that sleep is just a time that we're just the body's kind of shutting down, but that the opposite is true. So many things are happening during sleep, and that's why the adequate quantity and quality of sleep is so essential. As you said, brain health, what's happening with the brain when someone's sleeping is actually these neurons are firing, and we're creating memories and we're creating emotional patterns and trying to digest the emotional landscape from the day before. What happened during the day, to you, or what happened, with you, and in relationship with other people, and relationship with what happened at work, the day before, what happened at home the day before, and things like that. So a lot of this is happening at night, emotional consolidation, memory consolidation. Also, what's happening is active repair. The body is trying to always repair. I always have this idea of if you park a car in the garage and let it sit there and let it rest, it's going to be good for the engine. If you leave the car on for 24/7, then it's going to wear out that engine. And this is what's happening to our bodies when we don't sleep.
Yes, and if we're not sleeping enough or we're not sleeping well, it's going to affect our neurotransmitters. If we don't have enough, for example, GABA, we're going to have trouble staying asleep, and we're also going to have trouble regulating the anxiety. Like GABA is that like really calming and relaxing like neurotransmitter. So yes, definitely have an impact on the neurotransmitters and mood if we're not sleeping enough.
there's also something that happens in the brain with a system called the glial lymphatic system or glymphatic system. This was discovered at the University of Virginia a few years ago. We all know there's a lymphatic system that runs throughout the body, thousands of different lymph pathways, and that's going to help detox our system. But there's also in the brain a lymphatic system called the glymphatic system or glial lymphatic system. The glial cells being one of the brain cells that are going to help support the brain, reduce inflammation and things like that if they're performing properly. If there is a lymphatic system dysfunction, which happens if we're not getting enough deep sleep, and deep sleep is happening mostly in the first half of the night, then it's kind of like the waste and recycling trucks. They showed up, but they didn't actually do their job. Because one of the things that happens really interesting is that the beta amyloid plaques, which are elevated in, say, Alzheimer's disease and other neurodegenerative diseases, which means that there's a lot of brain inflammation going on. We need to have the deep sleep in order to recycle and detox that beta amyloid.
Yes, absolutely. And another way that like disruptive sleep can affect our health, and I actually see this quite a bit with my patients, is that when they're not sleeping well, they have like higher cortisol levels, that is that stress hormone that is going to impact the level of their blood pressure. So higher cortisol is going to lead to like higher blood pressure levels because the blood vessels are more stiff. And of course, that increases like risk for like cardiovascular disease or cardiovascular just kind of overall not like functioning optimally. So on that side as well, like more weight gain and blood sugar dysregulation. So the whole like metabolic health, like blood pressure, blood sugar regulation, cardiovascular risk, all of that is going to be impacted when the sleep is not optimal, and especially when there's sleep apnea present and not enough oxygenation while we sleep.
Another thing, Araceli, that happens with not having enough sleep is that during sleep, the immune system is the most active. That's the most active time in the body, especially if we talk about the golden hours of sleep, which are 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. That's the time the immune system is most active. That's the time that the liver is most active in terms of detoxing all the different plastics and phthalates and toxins we talked about in the last episode with blood sugar dysregulation. So the immune function and the detox function are most active at night. Again, we're not talking about a sort of passive time here in terms of sleep. It's actually one of the most active times of our body, during the day.
Yes, very important in that, especially throughout like COVID times, like we were talking a lot about optimizing the sleep to make sure the immune system was also working optimally.
So I kind of want to break it down with, for the listener, because when we talk about sleep and, you might wonder, well, that's not me. I get, 7 hours of sleep or 8 hours of sleep, but how many people out there are feeling like they're in San Francisco all the time? I love San Francisco, by the way. My sister lives out there. But there's something called brain fog. How many people have brain fog where they always feel like they're in a fog? They can't think as much as they could, or, they feel like I feel really great, except for, there's just that little edge. Or I'm missing some of the words that are, I can, do a speech. I can kind of think more clearly. But, how many people do you see in your practice that have some sort of brain fog?
Oh, so many. Such a common
Yeah.
concern. So yes, definitely we're not, you mentioned like patients might be sleeping enough hours, but maybe the quality is not good enough.
One of the things that does happen, and we're talking about, how to optimize quality of sleep, is we can start with, I think, maybe some of the root causes for why someone might be having sleeping issues. And let's start real basic with lifestyle issues. What are some of the lifestyle or sleep hygiene things that might really disrupt or derail someone's sleep?
Definitely the amount of blue light and kind of screens that we're exposed to. Like we were supposed to be going to bed after like sunset, and then like the lights would be off, more melatonin production, and we would just kind of go to bed. Nowadays, we're all like after the sunset, we're exposed to so much artificial light and so much blue light that really disrupts like even our melatonin. And a lot of people are just kind of using the screens like right until like going to bed, and then they're like stressed, they're like exposed to the light, and then just like pretending to like close their eyes and fall asleep, which these might happen if you're like exhausted, or might not happen because it's just kind of your whole like circadian rhythm has been dysregulated with these like changes in light. So that I feel like it's one important, very important like lifestyle change to address to make sure that we're not exposing ourselves like too late to the blue light.
And if you're listening to this and you're on your phone, maybe you've been listening to this at night, put the phone down, hide your phone in a different room from where you're sleeping, because we also know that if someone has a cell phone or screen that's active, that's going to activate, like you said, that blue light and that sympathetic system or fight or flight system. That's going to raise the cortisol, it's going to raise the adrenaline, and it's going to make it very impossible for that person to get a good quality sleep, even if they feel like they're getting enough hours of sleep.
Yes, and it might even wake you up. You might be able to like fall asleep, but then you might be waking up because your cortisol is dysregulated and it's too high at night, and then you might have trouble like falling back asleep.
So hide the screens, get the screens out of the bedroom, out of your sleeping area.
Wear some maybe blue blocking glasses
Blue blocking
if you
glasses.
absolutely maybe have to work during the night, or you have to have like some screen exposure, like definitely putting the screen on like dark mode and wearing like blue blocking glasses can help to decrease the amount of exposure.
I like the amber ones that make me look like Bono. You too? Yeah, like some of those songs and pretend I can be in that music video.
Yes.
So the amber glasses or red glasses as well. There's some different ones that can block blue or green light. The blue light, and you said blue light is blocking melatonin. Why is melatonin so important for sleep? We can kind of get into the
That
hormones now.
Yeah, definitely like the sleep onset, like that piece of like falling asleep, even more than remaining asleep. We have like having high levels of GABA and low levels of cortisol. That's like very important to like maintain the sleep, but to really fall asleep, the melatonin portion is really important.
So higher GABA to calm us down, lower cortisol so we can kind of start chilling out a bit
Yes.
and not being on our cell phones, and then higher melatonin, which also is not just a sleep onset hormone, but it's also an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory. It even has anti-tumor activity. Love melatonin as a way to help someone sleep and help someone get to sleep. Do you recommend melatonin as a supplement for some people? What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I when I started as an intern here, I feel like when I was shadowing you, that was one of the things that I heard you say about melatonin with like that antioxidant effect. And yes, we definitely use it for our patients. And we also test for it in some like urine tests that we do. And if that's low, we like supplement with that, or if there's like concerns around like sleep onset, that can be something we can supplement, but definitely starting with like lower dosages, especially since we produce like a much lower dosage than what the supplements tend to offer out there.
So I know that, DC and many other places that if you're listening, have a lot of great nightlife. One of the things that we know is that alcohol does unfortunately disrupt sleep. Let's talk about alcohol, booze, beer, wine, spirits, things like that. What are some of the effects of alcohol on sleep?
Yes, well, it would make the sleep not be as deep and restorative as it could be without the alcohol. And of course, it has that diuretic effect that it might wake you up more to like use the bathroom. And of course, it's more inflammatory for the system. Was there anything else particularly that you wanted to mention around the alcohol?
I think that, and then it decreases deep sleep a bit. I would say that alcohol, a lot of people use, especially in the biohacking community, they use the Oura Ring or other kind of sleep trackers. And we can talk about percentage of deep sleep and how well they're sleeping. And what people are often sharing with us is that, if they're drinking a lot of alcohol or even one drink, then that's actually destroying the quality of their sleep. So I kind of talk about alcohol as a great sleep destroyer.
Yes, I have patients report that to me with the Oura Ring as well.
It's short-term enjoyment, but long-term, not great for sleep.
Yes.
Let's talk about one more lifestyle thing, and we get to some of the root causes in terms of functional medicine. Let's talk about coffee. It's something that I've kind of gotten, into in the morning. Some of the cold brew coffee is pretty nice. But tell me about coffee. Tell us about coffee and how coffee might be affecting sleep for some people.
Yeah, there's genetic components that affect the way that we metabolize coffee. There's like fast metabolizers, there's slow metabolizers. So it can be that for some people they give you like a boost of energy and then it like goes away and it's okay for like when you're going to bed. But if like the effect is like staying for too long, it definitely impacts the adrenal like glands. And so if those are already dysregulated because of the stress and you like add caffeine into it, it might just be too much and then it can disrupt the sleep. If you feel like overall there's like control around the stress and it's like only like coffee in the morning, because coffee can also have some other benefits than just kind of one cup in the morning, and it's not like keeping you like too like wired throughout the day, it can be okay. So yeah, there's definitely very like personalized recommendations around coffee and genetics.
Yeah. And generally, if someone's having trouble sleeping, we might recommend to reduce coffee or eliminate coffee after 12 o'clock, noon.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Some people are drinking it throughout the day, and that might be affecting their sleep. Let's talk about some of the other root causes for what might be causing or how to optimize sleep issues. We can talk about sleep apnea, which I think I'll tackle a little bit. Again, we're having trouble with, breathing or snoring or waking up even after 8 hours of sleep and still feeling tired. That could be a sleep apnea issue where your body's not getting enough oxygen. You need to, at that point, see your practitioner, medical practitioner, and then discuss how to test for sleep apnea, which is typically an in-lab or home sleep study that you can do. You can now do them at home, which are really convenient. That's something we carry in our clinic, but you can actually do that in the comfort of your own home by checking your oxygen level and you're checking out. If you have sleep apnea, you can treat that, and that's going to be really, really protective of your heart and your brain, things like that. But there's many other medical reasons why someone might be having sleep issues, things like urination problems, getting up to the bathroom too much, chronic pain, gastroesophageal reflux disorder, also known as reflux or heartburn, and those type of things. Of those, do you see those much in your practice?
Yes, definitely. Some patients have to like sleep a little elevated because of GERD. So we always like go to that root cause, like from these other root causes that we're mentioning, like addressing that if you know for sure like you're not falling asleep well because you have pain or because you have GERD, like really working on those is going to be key for helping the sleep.
And then a lot of people do have, they say, well, I can't really sleep because I'm thinking about too many things. My mind can't shut off. So let's talk about the monkey mind, this idea that, someone's always thinking and the thinking is impairing their sleep. How do we shut off monkey mind?
Yeah, well, I really like breathing techniques. I feel like focusing on the breath can be really helpful. Personally, I like box breathing while trying to like go to sleep. So inhaling for 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds, exhaling for 4 seconds, and then holding again for 4 seconds, like a square. They can try to like shift your mind from like thinking of the to-do list to just calming down and maybe having even like a sleep ritual, maybe like journaling to try to like download all of your thoughts into like paper and maybe like some gratitude, make it something that will make you feel good before you go to bed so that you don't carry all that stress while you're going to bed. Or maybe you like to take a relaxing bath or meditation or just kind of like nice relaxing things before trying to wind down for bed.
So basically, don't watch the news or scroll on social media looking at the news.
Yes.
Sounds like we should say no to boxed food, but yes to boxed breathing. Is that
Yeah,
right? Okay.
that's good.
What about other, maybe not as well known, but actually very common causes, root causes of sleep issues, such as mold toxicity? Mold toxicity, other toxins. What do you think about mold toxins? How does that affect sleep?
It will definitely increase like inflammation and oxidative stress overall. And of course, that's gonna can contribute to like either pain or dysregulated like hormones, affects our immune system. So it just had such an overall like systemic impact in our health that sleep can be like part of that. So we work a lot with like patients that need to like detox from like heavy metals, mycotoxins, or different things.
So basically, brain inflammation is going to deplete the neurotransmitters that are involved in the creation of sleep onset, sleep maintenance, and mycotoxins are a big cause of neuroinflammation or brain inflammation,
Yes.
setting the brain on fire.
Hmm.
The other thing is that it sounds like there's a lot of potential root causes for sleep, whether from stress or stress management issues to electromagnetic fields, detox issues like with mold, some of the lifestyle habits as well, eating too much at night, late at night, or drinking stimulants too much at night, whether it's coffee or alcohol as a depressant, but alcohol is a way to decrease some of the deep sleep, which is not good for sleep, of course. So a lot of sleep habits, but another root cause of sleep imbalances is actually hormones. Let's talk about how hormones, we all know that there's a lot of people that, for instance, are suffering from hot flashes or night sweats and they can't sleep because they're just drenched.
Yeah, definitely I've seen that patients improve when there are hormones dysregulations, when they maybe need progesterone, like if we've tested it and progesterone is low and they have to go on progesterone as well, like the hormone replacement therapy, that itself can be really helpful.
All right. So we talked about a lot of hormonal causes like we did before, low GABA, high cortisol, low progesterone, low melatonin. We talked about sleep hygiene a bit. What are some of the temperature factors that are involved with sleep? I think we didn't get into that yet.
Yes, not yet. They say like research, although I don't personally love it as much, but on the cooler side, I do degrees Celsius. You can probably do degrees Fahrenheit, but around like 18 to 20 degrees Celsius,
Yeah,
is like good or like benefits like sleep.
maybe 68 degrees
Mhm.
Fahrenheit. So sleeping not quite like a polar bear, but something like that. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Guess we can always wear more clothes. I know that one of the things that has been really helpful for me is wearing socks at night. The idea
Hmm.
of keeping the peripheral body temperature warm so that the central circulation is more supported.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so wear some socks. You can wear some holiday socks. You can wear any type of socks at night.
Yes.
And what about supplements? I know that, we talked about how are ways, because sleep is so important. It's a public health epidemic. It's really involved in prevention of heart disease and brain health, issues, and even some of the chronic pain issues that we often see in our practice. What are some ways to boost our ability to sleep and have a better chance of sleeping, both in terms of high sleep quantity, which is we're defining as 7 to 8 hours at least a night, and also high sleep quality?
Yes. So before we talk about some like great supplements that we can use, I know we talked about like avoiding the blue light at night, but we didn't mention the like sunlight in the morning to like regulate our circadian rhythm. So definitely before we even try supplements, one thing that has been very impactful for patients that even this like small change can make a huge impact on their sleep is trying to expose your eyes without sunglasses in the morning to like natural like sunlight, in like 10 to 20 minutes, like in the morning, being outside, that itself, and doing that like regularly every day to like set your circadian rhythm, that can be very helpful.
Light is the best supplement.
Yes.
Yes. And then also light is the best supplement, but at night, like you said, decreasing or avoiding LAN, which is light at night, because really that's tricking your brain into thinking it's daytime when you turn that lamp on,
Hmm.
even, without the blue blockers. So light during the day, not having light at night, it sounds like that's really the best way to go.
Yes.
And then if someone needs an extra boost, what kind of supplements are we thinking about with people?
Yeah, if they feel like it's more like the mind is wandering or they're more anxious, maybe things like L-theanine or GABA or glycine as a precursor for GABA to like help calm down the nervous system, help like quiet down the mind, like can be helpful. But there's definitely many others.
We talked about melatonin as an antioxidant, as having anti-cancer activity even, and it reduces oxidative stress, which is basically inflammation. It helps with sleep onset. We also know that cannabidiol is a nice, non-psychogenic part of the hemp plant that can be very helpful activating CB2 receptors, which basically means it's going to help with calming that system down, calming that brain down.
Yes, definitely.
And then otherwise, I'm a big fan of magnesium. I think that's a really nice one.
Especially magnesium glycinate, so
Mhm.
like calming,
Yeah.
that can be really helpful too.
Great. So sleep, very, very important. Make sure you get enough of it. Make sure you're getting a good quality sleep. And if there's any questions about sleep, just know that really sleep is connected to everything. Whatever health condition you have, or however you're trying to optimize your health, even if you're feeling healthy, but you have some sort of quote unquote brain fog, like we said, even if you don't live in San Francisco, you can still have brain fog. Um, so we want to talk about, how to optimize your sleep, because sleep to me is, and I think this is probably true, would you say, Araceli, is that sleep is the bedrock, sleep is the gateway to all the other lifestyle factors that's going to optimize our health.
Yes, absolutely.
In fact, in our practice, we even have a mnemonic called SMART, which is sleep, mindset, activity, which is like exercise and movement, R for real food, and then T for ties, which is relationships. And that intentionally we started with S for sleep at the first, SMART, because sleep is the groundwork for everything else, really. So we can talk about sleep more in other episodes, as kind of we're weaving this in, functional medicine approach, we're kind of weaving in things. Just in terms of recap, we can talk about different ways to optimize your sleep issues, avoiding light at night, getting more light during the day, making sure you're moving your body. I love the kind of the exercise technique, especially I just kind of try to exhaust myself basically, basically fall asleep. What other kind of are the take-home points here?
Some like box breathing, not, we touched this more on like the blood sugar regulation episode, but not eating around like 2 to 3 hours before going to bed, that can decrease the chances of both like reflux, like GERD, but also just like lowering the insulin to be able to have enough melatonin. and like stress management overall, and maybe having like a sleep ritual, journaling, deep breathing, a nice bath, anything that will help you like relax and wind down.
Great. So this is an episode on sleep, one of the most important episodes. And I think just if you need to listen to this again, if you want to found anything valuable about this, please share this with your loved ones. Thank you so much for joining us on Know Your Body. I'll be back next week with Araceli, and every week we'll talk about your health and how you can achieve the body, mind, and spirit that you want. If you want to learn more about Capital Integrative Health, check out our website at cihealth.org. Thank you so much for listening. This is Know Your Body.